Hi, how are we feeling? I'm from a different position. I'm sitting on my ground right now. I've never filmed from this angle before. I hope you don't mind. But we are talking about my top of TBR of 2025. Basically, this is one of those videos of like 25 books to read in 2025, except I don't really want to put in the effort of thinking of 25 books I really want to read. I just tend to look at my physical TBR and just write down books that jump out to me that I really want to read in this next year, and then I make a video of it, and hopefully it will actually keep me accountable to do it. From last year, I still have 3 books left over that I didn't get around to reading, which I do feel kind of sad about because especially in like the first half of the year, I was on such like a momentum with these books to read them, so it kind of pisses me off that I didn't get around to these last 3. But I do have some video ideas for this year in which these books can fit, so hopefully you'll still see me read them in 2025. But my one rule I have is that I can't have repeats from the list from the year before, so these are now going to the wayside. And let's talk about the 12 books I decided to put on my top of TBR this year. If you don't know, I don't have bookshelves, so all of my physical TBR books are in like this bag and in this box. So I just spent so long looking for these 12 books, which is why I'm sitting on the ground, because I'm hot, I'm exhausted, I don't there's one book in particular, which is actually the first from the list, that just played hide and seek with me. Like, it just disappeared. I genuinely thought I imagined owning this book. It's not. I still have it, but yeah. So I have this stack of 12 books right here. Let's just go through them. Starting off with Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. Basically, I own 5 Agatha Christie novels, and ever since I got them in 2022, I had this idea to make a video reading all 5 of them and kind of just, you know how I now do my reading 3 books by an author series, see like if I like them or something. I did that with V. Schwab, with Ware, and R.F. Kwan in 2024. I kind of, that idea originated with my Agatha Christie's because I have 5 of them, and she's like a very prolific mystery thriller author. Not mystery thriller author, just mystery author. And you know, I own these. I bought these secondhand, so like, why not just make a fun video out of it? But I just haven't done it because for some reason in my brain it has to be done in October, and October just like isn't my month. Like, always something happens through which I can do this, and just this year I said enough. I'm making this video somewhere this year because I want to, and therefore I only put Murder on the Orient Express on this list just to like keep things realistic, because this is the one I want to read the most. I also feel like this is the most iconic one, so I am just hoping that it will finally happen this year, and then I don't know, hopefully I also like it. I don't know. Then book 2 on this list, generally so hyped to read, Let's Make It by Gregory Maguire. I went to see the movie at the end of December and I just fucking loved it. It was like my introduction to the story. I originally bought this book because I did want to read it before watching a movie, but like, just again, the way the life worked, that just never really worked out. So I went into the movie blind and I thought it was phenomenal. And I do know that the book is very different from the musical and therefore also the movie, but I am still very intrigued to at least give this first book a go, because from what I've heard, the other books in the series aren't that great. Don't follow alphabet anymore. So yeah, I don't think my interest is there, but I am very curious to read this book and just discover the rest of the story as well. The next book on the list is actually the one I'm the most pissed off about that I didn't read in 2024, and that's The Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson. I read the first one book, The Final Empire, at the very start of the year and just became absolutely obsessed with that, and The Well of Ascension is one of my favorite books of the year. Spoiler alert, that video is coming as well. And The Hero of Ages, actually, if you watched like all of my reading vlogs this year, you know this has been on the TBR for a couple of them, and it also always is the biggest of the bunch, and therefore it never gets read. I end up so pissed off because it's always the one I'm most excited to read. So I'm making it happen in 2025 because I need to know how the story is gonna end, because at least this saga is gonna end. I know there is more books set in the Miss One world that I'm also very excited to read. Then another sequel to a book I loved in 2024 is The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. I read the Poppy Wars, one of like actually one of the first books in 2024, and I immediately bought the rest of the trilogy and I just haven't continued. It just hasn't been like my most priority, but I do again desperately want to finish this trilogy, see how the story is going to continue. So technically book 3 is also on the list, but like I'm making it myself easy. I don't need putting book 2 to have a higher success rate. Hopefully these are also like chunkers of novels, but I really enjoyed book 1, and I think that book 2 and 3 have the potential for me to absolutely adore them. So I just can't wait to give this a read. Again, I do have a video idea that this could fit into, so hopefully it will get done. Now that we're going through some of high fantasy books of this list, let me give you another one, with The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. This is another one that I've owned for a really long time, and I've heard so many great things about this series, and I'm just so excited to read it, and I have been ever since I got it. I can see in 2020, that's 5 years ago now. So that also sounds so fake, that 2020 was 5 years ago. Anyway, but I've been so excited to read this and just been intimidated by it for some reason. And 2024 for me, my reading goal was basically to not let books intimidate me anymore, and I do feel like I've gotten over that hurdle mostly. So now I'm just really excited to get around to this book, and hopefully that will happen. I'm actually I do have a concept in mind of reading the entire series for this one. So in the spirit of not letting books intimidate me anymore, my new reading goal for 2025 is to read more nonfiction, because that's still kind of an area of my reading that I have a lot of books I'm interested in, but I'm not reading them. So I thought I'd put 2 of the ones that I had on my physical TBR on this list. There's other 2 that I'm most excited about and haven't read yet. There are also 2 that are signed and personalized, so why shouldn't I read them? Starting off with one that I've owned for a little longer, and it's Speech by Walter Lepré. This is a book basically about language, and ever since I saw Walter Lepré like comedy show around like the same subject a little bit, I just thought this book sounded so incredibly interesting, and I got it there. Like I said, it's signed and personalized, and this is one that's been like at the top of one of these boxes and has been staring at me ever since I got it, and I've constantly think I do really want to read this, and it's just there's something about nonfiction that I'm always just like, but I'd rather read this fiction novel instead. And I'm not letting that happen in 2025 anymore. And then the other nonfiction is actually one of the more recent books that I bought, so that's why I haven't read it yet, but even then, I've had it since October, so again, no real reason. But that's Ik mag er niet aan denken by Jens de Donker. Jens de Donker is another stand-up comedian. This is about it's basically like a memoir, but it's mainly focused on like his mental health issues from what I believe. So I'm just very excited to read this because I've heard it's just a really good book. I again got this when I went to one of his comedy shows, and it's signed and personalized. So again, no reason not to read this. It's also tiny again, and it has like massive font. So this should be a quick read. That being said, I also think it's going to be a devastating read, but I am still really excited to give it a read. And then I also I don't have an official goal to read more literary fiction, but I do kind of want to try and get into the genre. And one of the books that I've owned for like a really long time that fits in the genre that I've been very excited to read is Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid. I remember when this was just everywhere on booktube, and that's when I bought it, and I still haven't read it, and it still sounds so interesting to me. I also got a Getty from that Getty of Kylie Reid's like 2024 release. I also haven't read that yet, so I should probably prioritize that as well. But I've heard so many great things about this, and it sounds so interesting. And then the last 4 books on this list are kind of more like my fun books that I do still really want to get to, and didn't get around to in 2024, but they aren't like with serious goals in mind or like whatever with like the rest of the books. Anyway, if any of these 4 still is left over, I will be a bit mad, but like they're not the worst, and I definitely seriously need to get to. Starting off with Collided by Lauren Asher. I own this entire series and I hated book 1. So I haven't really been excited to continue on with the series, but I need to, because I can't let a 4-book series sit on my TBR forever, you know? These are Formula 1 romances. I love Lauren Asher typically. I just really hated book 1, so hopefully this will work a bit more in my favor. Okay, no, I lied. This book I do desperately want to read this year, and that's On My Way with Sabata Here. Sabata Here wrote one of my favorite series, which is the Yasha series. This is her YA contemporary book, and it just, I don't know, I've been so excited for this, and I just have never read it. I only bought it last year, even though it's been out for a couple of years. But I just so desperately want to read this right now. Next on my WTBR list is The Summer of Jordi Perez by Amy Spaulding. This is another book that I picked up this past year. I picked it up secondhand, and this is one that I've actually honestly right now it's not necessarily like the moment I want to read this the most, but this is just like a flashback booktube book for me. I remember when this was one of the only sapphic books that was being recommended on this page, and I've always wanted to read it because of that, and I just never came across a physical copy of it, and then I did last year. It's called The Summer of Jordi Perez, so I kind of want to read this in summer, and I bought this like at the very end of the summer, so I didn't get around to it then. And then lastly for this list is Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. This is Cassandra Clare's first adult novel, and I remember when Cassandra Clare was still like she talked about this book for so long before it actually came out. Like, this is the project, like the non-Shadowrunner project that she was working on for so long. So therefore I am just excited to read it because I love the Shadowrunner books. I don't care that they're not good. I love them. So I'm very excited to see what Cassandra Clare's first like non-Shadowrunner work, solo work will look like, because she did write a middle grade series with Holly Black, and it's also her adult debut, so I'm very excited to check it out because of that as well. I actually debated on putting this on the list last year, and I just didn't because like this came out at the very end of 2023, and I was like, I'm just gonna read it anyway. And then I didn't. So it's definitely gonna happen this year because the sequel's coming out soon as well, I believe. And yeah, that was my top of TBR for 2025. I truly can't believe we're in 2025 already, but you know, I'm gonna soldier on and pretend like time is moving at a normal pace, which it absolutely is not. But that is everything I have for you today. Let me know in the comments what you thought of these books if you've read them, so I know which ones to prioritize over the year. Although, like, generally, you know, I'm upset that I still have 3 books left of the list from last year, but that was less than the year before, and like each year I'm narrowing things down, and I honestly do kind of have a feeling like this year, as cocky as I might seem, as delusional as it might seem, I do feel like this is going to be the year that I finally complete the list. So wish me all the luck for that. And yeah, also let me know in the comments what some of the books that you are desperately wanting to read this year, and then hopefully I'll see you around next time. Bye.
Here I am again, the same old situation. Why does the God thing have to be so complicated? Should've played it cool.